Oh my god, this thing got heavy. Holy crap. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. We are going to go ahead and do a December camera bag update, and just show what all is going on in here. Some stuff has changed, some stuff has not, but let's just go ahead and get right into this. And yeah, so we're gonna start with this pouch down here. And pretty much for the stuff that's down here, it's just a bigger microfiber cloth, as well as just a bunch of other random pieces of hardware and alcohol pads and some tabs and other stuff like that. Now in here, this is the main pocket for your bigger electronics, right? Okay, so we have our rain jacket in there, as well as my tablet here. I never use this tablet. I really don't. And so basically, this tablet lives in the camera bag, essentially. It's where it gets the most use. If I want to edit an image in Lightroom, or whatever the case may be, that is, the best case scenario for me to actually use it. And it's also USB-C, so it works with my SD card and compact flash reader as well. Stuff like that. The bag itself is a K and F. Forget the exact model of bag, but it's doing its best for what I need. In this bottom pocket here, we have cables as well as a phone that I use for a second video angle if I need, or if I have something that requires 4K 60 FPS, then that phone is there for me to use. Just some other cables in there, USB-C, stuff like that. In here, in this one that you can't really see into, I have a camera strap there if needed. I have my SD card and compact flash card reader in there, as well as a much finer microfiber cloth, some lens cleaner, hot shoe mount, an extra tripod shoe in there, and then a phone mount onto a hot shoe. So all of that is in there. As far as this stuff goes, I'm actually going to rotate this bag real quick. Let's go ahead and get into the goodies here. We have our wrist straps here. I do not like neck straps. They're just not really that compatible with me as far as comfortability goes. So we have our wrist straps here. They actually get wrapped around my left wrist, because for me that's just easier to hold the camera and do the zoom and such, and still being able to use the camera properly and such. I can't articulate my hand around the camera with it coming around my right wrist. For some reason, it just does not work for me. Alright, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. I will start with the camera bodies and what lenses I will typically use with them. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the R100. The R100 is currently my main video camera. Now, at some point that's going to change. My main video camera will become an R50V, but until then it is the R100. This R100 has an RF to EF adapter that lives on this camera. It pretty much never comes off, right? Because I don't own any RF glass, at least not yet. So yeah, that adapter stays on there. I throw this camera in here on its side. Because it's so small and mirrorless, I'm able to pull that off just fine. And typically the lens that I will throw onto this video camera is this Tamron 17 to 50 crop sensor f2.8. Have the sunshade there, the lens hood, there we go. Have that there. We have this guy. We have the lens itself here. That's what it looks like when it's all zoomed out. I do have a UV protector on the front. People have mixed reviews about, lens filters in general. The reason I have one on this one is because since it is my main video lens for the moment, it's a little soft, but the f2.8 is nice. I typically bounce it between this and the EFS 18 to 55, depending on what I need, but I use that one a lot. The reason I have that filter on there is because since it is my main video lens, it constantly has the lens cap off, and so I feel the lens should be, the front glass should be protected in some way or another. So we have that filter on there, so that if some sort of debris does come and hit the front glass, it hits our filter and not the front glass. It adds a layer of protection. Microphone here, it is powered by AAA's. As you saw, they just all fell into there. This is an MXL-FR 310. I got this shotgun mic when I got my base camera kit, and I've just never replaced it because it does a fairly decent job. So, yeah. So that just gets nestled into that corner. We will go ahead and move on to the 7D Mark II. The 7D Mark II is a 20 megapixel APS-C, rugged, pretty much professional grade camera. The 7D was marketed as a professional grade, semi-weather sealed APS-C camera. And because it is APS-C, I am able to use it with a couple of different lenses. Starting off here, we have that Tamron 17 to 50 millimeter f2.8 crop sensor lens that we had talked about earlier. We also have this 24 millimeter EFS crop sensor lens. There's two reasons I got this lens. Reason number one, it's very thin and compact, which allows me to either throw it on the R100 and have a compact picture setup, or throw it on here just to have something that's nimble but still takes really nice photos. But another reason I got it is because of the size of the front glass. You see how small that front glass is compared to this f2.8 zoom right here, which this is also f2.8, by the way. One of the reasons I got this is because it's a lot easier to take pictures of small things like model trains and stuff like that with a smaller front glass like this. You're able to get closer, you're able to have it look more realistic because you're not quite catching as much imagery. And the f2.8 also helps with the lighting of that. The other crop sensor lenses here I have is this Sigma f4 to 5.6 10 to 20 millimeter for the super wide angle stuff. Love this lens for what it is able to do. And yeah, this will fit on either the R100 or the 70 Mark II here. And yeah, love this lens. And then, of course, because the kit in this bag is meant to be super diverse, right? Okay, we also have, it's not the one I wanted to take off, we also have here a Tamron 18 to 270 millimeter f3.5 to 6.3 super zoom. And this is good if you are taking one camera, like rail fanning, and you can only have one lens with you. This is good if you need a bunch of range. Again, crop sensor lens. Overall, if you're just looking at the image that this lens takes on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, right? Okay, it's gonna look fairly decent. But if you go zooming in, you will see a lot of blue smudging, right? And so that is something to keep in mind with those super zooms, is that, you know, there will be drawbacks in one way or another versus going with something like a 17 to 50 and then a 55 to 200 like we have here. This is another crop sensor lens that I have. I needed a fairly decent looking zoom lens, and this fit that bill. You know, compared to my Sigma 70 to 300 full frame, this does look a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie. I do want to get a more proper zoom lens at some point, like a Canon 70 to 200 or a Sigma or Tamron 70 to 200. You know, something that actually looks really nice. But that's a lot of money. We'll get to that at some point. It's just not in the cards right now. You know, so most of the kit here is crop sensor lenses, because I have two crop sensor cameras in here. You know, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crop sensor lenses here. What about the full frame stuff? Well, I only have the one full frame camera in this bag, right? Okay, and the main lens that gets used with this full frame camera, a 22 megapixel 5D Mark III, right? The main camera, or the main lens that gets used to that with that, is this lens right here. It is on the older side, but it's very sharp. There's barely any color fringing. It stays sharp through the whole image, right? Okay, this is the aspherical LD-XR DISP Tamron 28 to 75 millimeter f2.8 macro. It's an old lens. It's a noisy lens. The autofocus is not the fastest, but it's fast enough for what I am doing with it. And for on average $150, this lens does a lot for that money. This is this is my favorite lens that I own, simply just because of the pictures that this lens can take with this camera. The other full frame lens I have in here is a Canon Nifty 50 millimeter f1.8. And then this lens, this 3D printed lens hood here, actually fits onto that lens there. But the bottom won't fit in there, so it gets put into there. And then that 24 millimeter goes right on top. As far as like camera upgrades go, as I've said, this will get updated with a R50V. And then at some point, what I want to do is I want to get another one of these lenses here in Nikon F mount, and then get a Nikon D800 and have that. I think I want to have that replace this one here. And then I can move some of these crop sensor lenses out, put in some full frame ones, I think. The Nikon D800, you can get them for like 450 bucks, around there, and that's a 36 megapixel full frame sensor. I paid nearly 400 bucks for this 5D, and that's a 22 megapixel. Not that megapixels are everything, absolutely not. You can absolutely get by with 18 megapixels, no problem. But, you know, if you want 36 megapixels on a lower budget, that D800 is the best deal you're going to come across. And they make these lenses in Nikon F. So, thinking about getting a Nikon D800 and a Nikon F version of this lens, and throwing that into this bag, just simply because it gives me, you know, a more detailed images, you know, another option to shoot with. Lastly here, we have our last two pockets. This one here just has batteries crammed in. We have another R100 battery down in here. That gets thrown in right next to another LPE6 battery, I believe. Down in there, and then another one in there. And then in here we have, again, another LPE6. We have two chargers, one for the LPE6 batteries and then the R100 batteries. We have extra SD cards as well as a coin. Should be 2 coins in there, to take mounts for the tripods on and off, and then a power brick in there to go with the cords for charging stuff up. And then last but not least, we have the second camera bag. Now, this bag changes a lot depending on what I need. Right now, it just hosts 2 lenses, stuff for the 5D, and then the 1D. So, let's look at the lenses first. This is that Sigma 70 to 300 that I was talking about earlier. If you need the range, it's an okay lens, but it does not really take super detailed images. It's a lens. If you need this kind of range on the cheap, it will produce an image. This was the full frame lens that I had bought for the 5D Mark III before I had gotten that Tamron lens. This is a Canon 28 to 135 millimeter ultrasonic. Here we go. f3.5 to 5.6 image stabilized lens for full frame camera. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. The center is nice and sharp, but then as you spread out through the image, it does get a little softer, and there is some color fringing. Unfortunately, this lens is starting to go on me. Between about 50, more like 60 to 80 millimeters, the autofocus just gets confused and starts going everywhere. Outside of that, or before that, it's fine. So, don't know what's happening with that. Might be time to retire this lens. I don't really use it anyway, but for the moment, it's in the bag. This is a battery grip for my 5D Mark III. So if I want to, I can have it be a bigger camera with a longer battery life, as well as have vertical shooting, easier vertical shooting capabilities. This is an extra battery for the 1D. and then all this just gets nestled into there. Now, you may be asking, this is just another one of these for the 1D. This is a Tamron 2X teleconverter. Now, you may be thinking, you may be wondering, why don't I just have this in my main camera bag? It's a 1D. Well, this is actually an EOS 1D Mark IV, and even though it has, Mark IV in it, it must be good. It's 16 megapixels, which again is not bad. You can absolutely work with 16 megapixels. It's just, also at the end of the day, it's 16 megapixels. It's a flagship from 2009, right? And it's not bad by any means, but I kind of just got it to mess with it / have a backup camera. It's really fun to shoot with. And it can still take fantastic images. I love this thing. But, number one, it's super tall, so it doesn't fit in my main camera bag. And number two, it is on the bulky side. I did get this battery grip because I wanted that option, but this is also on the bulky side. I don't always want that extra grip. I love this camera. I do use this camera. Sometimes I will run this and the 5D for primary and secondary instead of the 1D and the 7D Mark II. But, yeah. I do love this thing. I do use it. But it is huge and it is old. So yeah, that's about it for this one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Something that I forgot to go over was the memory cards. The R100 has a 128 gigabyte SD card in it. The 5D Mark III has a 128 compact flash and SD card in it. The 7D Mark II has a 64 gigabyte compact flash and 128 gigabyte SD card inside of it. And then this, because it's older, it has to take older SD cards. This has a 64 gigabyte compact flash with a 32 gigabyte older Lexar. I also have a 16 gigabyte SanDisk as an extra SD card for this guy. That is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments. And before someone brings up the fact that I have all of this amateur equipment and I could have used my money better and all that stuff, and I don't need 4 cameras, I can get away with 2 or 3. I know that. I'm not a professional photographer. I do this as a hobby. I like trains. I like taking pictures of trains. I like cameras. I like lenses. I like having the ability to put different cameras and lenses together to get something I can use in a specific use case to shoot trains with. To shoot model trains with, real trains with, that type of stuff. I like being able to change out the lens on my video camera. Stuff like that. You don't have to have professional equipment, or you don't have to have 2 or 3 lenses and 2 cameras to use for the rest of your life. Okay? You do it how you want to do it. Have I made some mistakes when buying camera equipment? Yes, I have. More than willing to admit that. But I learned from it, and I'm having fun with this. And at the end of the day, when it comes to photography or trains or whatever other hobby you are into, you have fun with it. If I was doing professional photography, yes, I would need to get significantly better camera equipment. Yes, I would need to get significantly better lenses. But I'm not doing this professionally. I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm doing this for fun. So I am going to do this how I want to do it, with whatever cameras I want to do it with, and whatever lenses I want to do it with. And at the end of the day, when you are looking at my photos on Discord or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or wherever else, the likelihood that you are going to be able to tell if it was taken on an old Tamron lens from 15 years ago or a current Tamron lens on a 1D, etc., from taking a glance at a compressed social media image is not going to be super noticeable, especially for someone with my following, with the amount of money I have for what I'm doing with this equipment. The point is to have fun. I'm SDM Sapphire. I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you are enjoying Vidmas. See you tomorrow.